Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The last laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go. My name is Sarah Chen, and I'm 29 years old. I work as a data analyst for a pharmaceutical company in Seattle. The job's boring, honestly, spreadsheets, quarterly reports, the occasional presentation that makes my palms sweat. Nothing exciting ever happens to me. Until March 15th. I was heading to Boston for a conference. My boss had booked the ticket last minute, some industry thing about data security protocols. I remember thinking how lucky I was to get a window seat on the 6 a.m. flight. I'm not a morning person, so I planned to sleep through most of the 5-hour journey. The airport was quiet that early. I grabbed coffee from a kiosk near my gate, went through the usual boarding process. Zone 3. Seat 18A. I shuffled down the aisle with my carry-on, already exhausted. The flight attendant who greeted passengers at the door had kind eyes. Mid-40s maybe, with dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. She smiled at everyone, but when I passed her, something flickered across her face. Recognition? Concern? It happened so fast I convinced myself I'd imagined it. I settled into my seat, tucked my bag under the seat in front of me, and pulled out my phone to text my mom that I'd boarded safely. The man next to me in 18B was already asleep, his jacket pulled over his face. Across the aisle in 18C sat a woman in a business suit, typing furiously on her laptop. Normal. Everything was completely normal. The flight attendant, her name tag said, Jennifer, started the drink service about 30 minutes after takeoff. I was reading an article on my phone when she stopped at my row. What can I get you? She asked the sleeping man. No response. She turned to me. And for you, miss? Just water, please, I said. Jennifer's hand trembled slightly as she poured from the small bottle. Then she did something strange. As she set the plastic cup on my tray table, she placed a napkin next to it. Not under it. Next to it. I barely glanced at it until she moved to the next row. That's when I saw the handwriting. In blue ink, someone had written, "Don't drink. Don't eat. Trust me." I stared at the napkin. What kind of joke was this? I looked up, trying to catch Jennifer's eye, but she was already 3 rows ahead, her movements quick and mechanical. The woman across the aisle leaned over. Everything okay? Yeah, I said automatically, crumpling the napkin. Just weird. I picked up the water cup, brought it halfway to my lips. It looked normal. Smelled normal. But something made me pause. That look on Jennifer's face when I'd boarded. The trembling hand. The deliberate placement of the napkin. I set the cup down. Before we go further, make sure you subscribe to the channel and comment where you're watching from. 20 minutes passed. I tried to focus on my book, but my eyes kept drifting to that water cup. The man beside me woke up, accepted a ginger ale from a different flight attendant. He drank it without issue. The businesswoman across the aisle ordered a Bloody Mary. Maybe I was being paranoid. Then Jennifer came back. She leaned down, pretending to check my seatbelt, and whispered, "The bathroom. 2 minutes. Please." My heart hammered. What's going on? Please, she repeated, her voice cracking. Your life depends on it. She straightened and moved away before I could respond. I sat frozen, my mind racing. This was insane. Flight attendants didn't act like this. Was she having some kind of breakdown? Should I call for help? But something in her voice, the raw terror, made me unbuckle my seatbelt. I stood, squeezing past the sleeping man, and walked toward the rear bathroom. My legs felt unsteady. A few passengers glanced up as I passed, but most were absorbed in their phones or sleeping. Jennifer was waiting near the galley, partially hidden behind the beverage cart. When she saw me, relief flooded her features. "Thank you for coming," she breathed. "We don't have much time." "What is this about?" I demanded, keeping my voice low. "You're scaring me." "You should be scared." She glanced toward the front of the plane. "Did you drink the water?" "No, but..." "Good. Don't. And don't eat anything either. Nothing from this flight." I felt cold. "Why? What's wrong with it?" Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. "I've been working this route for 12 years. 3 weeks ago, I was approached by 2 men. They knew things about me. About my daughter. They said if I didn't help them, her voice broke. They gave me a name. Sarah Chen. Seat 18A. They said to make sure you consumed something on this flight. Anything." The world tilted. "What? Why me?" "I don't know. But yesterday, my daughter's teacher found a man taking pictures of her at school. I knew then this was real. These people are serious." She grabbed my arm. "I couldn't do it. I couldn't poison someone. So I'm warning you instead." Poison. Poison. The word hit me like ice water. "We need to tell the captain. Land the plane. Call the police." "And say what? That someone threatened me to poison a passenger? I have no proof. They'll think I'm crazy. Or worse, they'll think I'm the threat." Jennifer's grip tightened. But you need to get off this plane the moment we land. Don't go to baggage claim. Don't wait for anything. Just run. This doesn't make sense, I said, my voice rising. I'm nobody. Ienlash data. I live alone. I haven't done anything, your father, Jennifer interrupted. Did he work for the government? My blood went cold. He died when I was 8. Car accident. But before that, yes. He worked for the State Department. Why? I think that's why. Before I could respond, a male voice called from first class, Jennifer? We need you up here. She released my arm. Go back to your seat. Act normal. When we land in Boston, go straight to the nearest TSA agent. Tell them everything. And Sarah? She met my eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I almost went through with it. I stumbled back to my seat, my mind spinning. The man beside me was still sleeping. My untouched water sat on the tray table, suddenly looking sinister. My father. I barely remembered him. Michael Chen died in a car crash in 1998. Or that's what I'd always been told. My mother never talked about him much. Too painful, she said. What if it wasn't an accident? I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and opened my email. No service at 35,000 feet. I'd have to wait. The flight dragged on. Every time a flight attendant walked past, I tensed. Every announcement from the cockpit made me jump. The man beside me finally woke up fully and tried to make small talk. I gave one-word answers, watching the door to the cockpit like it might burst open any second. 3 hours into the flight, a different flight attendant, younger, blonde, stopped at my row. Miss? You haven't touched your water. Can I get you something else? No, I said too quickly. I'm fine. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. You sure? We have juice, soda, coffee. I said I'm fine. She lingered for a moment too long, then moved on. I watched her in the reflection of my phone screen. She went straight to the galley where Jennifer was organizing supplies. They spoke in hushed tones. The blonde attendant kept glancing back at me. My throat was dry. I desperately wanted water, but Jennifer's words echoed, don't drink anything. 4 hours in, the captain announced our descent into Boston. I'd never been so relieved to hear anything in my life. That's when things went wrong. The seatbelt sign dinged on. I buckled up, gripping the armrests. We were maybe 20 minutes from landing. Almost safe. Jennifer appeared at my row, her face pale. She leaned down as if checking something under my seat and whispered, when we land, they're going to try to delay you. Gate agents will say there's an issue with your ID or ticket. Don't fall for it. Push past them if you have to. What? They're on the ground too, she hissed. This is bigger than the flight. She stood and walked away before I could ask more. My heart pounded so hard I thought the man beside me would hear it. I stared out the window at the clouds, trying to piece everything together. Someone had threatened Jennifer to poison me. They knew my seat assignment, my name, my father's background. They had people on the ground waiting. This wasn't random. This was planned. But why? I was nobody. I worked in a cubicle. I spent weekends watching Netflix. The most dangerous thing in my life was my expired yogurt collection. Unless my father's past really did have something to do with this. The plane touched down with a jarring bounce. Passengers started standing immediately, ignoring the seatbelt sign, reaching for overhead bins. I stayed seated, watching the aisle. Jennifer was near the exit door, going through landing procedures. She caught my eye once and gave an almost imperceptible nod toward the front of the plane. Go. Now. The moment the seatbelt sign dinged off, I shot up. The man beside me yelped in surprise as I practically climbed over him. I grabbed my bag and pushed into the aisle, ignoring protests from other passengers. Excuse me, I muttered, shoving forward. A man in row 12 tried to block me, stepping into the aisle with his roller bag. Hey, wait your turn. Medical emergency, I lied, squeezing past him. I could see the exit door opening. Cold Boston air rushed in. Jennifer stood to the side, her expression carefully neutral as she thanked deplaning passengers. When I reached her, she grabbed my hand briefly. Gate C7. TSA checkpoint. Agent Rodriguez. Tell him Jennifer Marquez sent you. Then I was out, power walking up the jet bridge. Other passengers shouted at me to slow down, but I didn't stop. The gate area was crowded. I scanned the space frantically, looking for anyone suspicious. A gate agent at the podium looked up as I emerged. Miss Chen, she called. I froze. How did she know my name? We need to verify some information on your ticket, she continued, stepping toward me with a tablet. It'll just take a moment. Jennifer's warning flashed in my mind, they're going to try to delay you. No thanks, I said, backing away. It's mandatory, the agent insisted, her smile tight. TSA flagged your profile. Lie. It had to be a lie. I turned and ran. Behind me, I heard shouting. I dodged past a family with strollers, jumped over someone's dropped shopping bag, and sprinted toward the signs for baggage claim and ground transportation. No, that's where they'd expect me to go. TSA checkpoint. Agent Rodriguez. I veered left, following signs for connecting flights. My bag banged against my hip. My breath came in gasps. I'd never been athletic. A man in a blue jacket stepped into my path from a Hudson News store. Sarah Chen? I screamed. He reached for me, but I swung my bag hard, catching him in the stomach. He grunted, doubling over, and I ran past him. People were staring now. A woman with a coffee shouted, "Someone help her." I burst through a crowd gathered around a departure board and saw it, TSA Checkpoint C. A line of passengers snaked through the roped queue. 2 agents in blue uniforms stood at the podium checking IDs. Rodriguez. I screamed. I need Agent Rodriguez. One of the agents, a broad-shouldered Hispanic man with graying temples, looked up sharply. Our eyes met. I ran straight toward him, bypassing the entire line. Passengers yelled protests. The other TSA agent moved to intercept me, but Rodriguez held up a hand. "Let her through," he said. I practically collapsed at the podium. Jennifer Marquez sent me. Flight 2847 from Seattle. Someone tried to poison me. There are people chasing me. Please, you have to help. Rodriguez's expression hardened. He spoke into his radio, Code Black, Terminal C. I need backup at Checkpoint C immediately. Possible threat to passenger. Within seconds, 3 more TSA agents appeared. Rodriguez took my arm, gently, not roughly, and guided me through a door marked Authorized Personnel Only. We entered a small office with monitors showing security camera feeds. Rodriguez sat me down in a chair. "You're safe now," he said. "Tell me everything." So I did. I told him about Jennifer's napkin warning, the conversation in the galley, the water I didn't drink, my father's State Department background, the gate agent who tried to delay me, the man in the blue jacket. Rodriguez listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. When I finished, he made a phone call. "This is Rodriguez at Logan. I need federal agents to Terminal C." "Yes, now." "Possible assassination attempt on a passenger. Flight 2847 from Seattle." He paused. "The flight attendant's name is Jennifer Marquez. Detain her for her protection. And run a background check on Sarah Chen's father, Michael Chen, State Department, deceased 1998. He hung up and looked at me. "You said you didn't drink the water?" "No. I didn't drink or eat anything." "Good. We're going to need to test it. And we need to get you somewhere secure until we figure out what's going on." "My father," I said, my voice cracking. "What did he do?" "I don't know yet. But if people are willing to kill you 26 years after his death, it was something significant." The door burst open. 2 people in dark suits entered, a man and a woman, both wearing FBI badges. "Sarah Chen," the woman said. "I'm Special Agent Morrison, this is Agent Park. We're going to take you somewhere safe while we investigate." Rodriguez stood. "The water sample?" "Already sent agents to the plane," Morrison confirmed. She turned to me, her expression softening slightly. "You're going to be okay. But we need to move quickly." They escorted me through a maze of airport corridors I didn't know existed. Staff-only areas, security checkpoints, finally emerging in an underground parking garage. A black SUV waited, engine running. Agent Park opened the back door. "Get in." I hesitated. "Where are we going?" "Federal building in downtown Boston," Morrison said. "You'll be safe there while we sort this out." I climbed in. Morrison slid in beside me while Park took the driver's seat. We pulled out of the garage, tires squealing slightly. "Did you get Jennifer?" I asked. "The flight attendant who warned me." Morrison nodded. "She's being brought in for questioning. She probably saved your life. And the people who threatened her? We're working on it." We drove in silence for a few minutes. I watched Boston pass by through tinted windows, normal people going about normal days, completely unaware that someone had just tried to kill me at 35,000 feet. "Your father," Morrison said quietly. "Michael Chen. Did your mother ever talk about his work?" "No. She said he worked for the State Department in some boring administrative role. He traveled a lot. Then he died in a car accident when I was 8. Morrison and Park exchanged glances in the rearview mirror. "What?" I demanded. "What was it really?" "Your father," Morrison said carefully, "wasn't in an administrative role. He was a covert operative. He worked in counterintelligence, specifically targeting an extremist organization that was attempting to acquire biological weapons in the late 90s. The world seemed to stop. He helped dismantle a major cell," Morrison continued. "Prevented what could have been a catastrophic attack on U.S. soil. But 6 months after the operation concluded, he was killed. We always suspected it wasn't an accident, but we could never prove it." "So they came after me?" I whispered. "After all this time?" 3 weeks ago, Park said from the front seat, the leader of that organization was released from a federal prison. Viktor Kozlov. Russian national, sentenced to 25 years for terrorism conspiracy. He got out on a technicality, evidence handling issues. Subscribe now if you want to hear how this ends, and comment below where you're watching from. Morrison pulled out a tablet and showed me a photo. A man in his 60s with cold, pale eyes and a scarred face. Kozlov made a list, she said. Everyone who was involved in taking down his network. Most are dead or in witness protection. Your father's name was on that list. Since he's already dead, Kozlov decided to finish the job through you. I felt sick. He waited 26 years to get revenge on my dad by killing me. Men like Kozlov don't forget, Park said grimly. And they don't forgive. We pulled into an underground garage beneath a gray government building. Armed guards waited by an elevator. Morrison guided me inside, her hand on my elbow. You'll stay here tonight, she said. Tomorrow, we'll discuss options. Witness protection, relocation, security detail. My mom, I said suddenly. Is she safe? Already on it. We have agents en route to her location now. The elevator rose to the 12th floor. They took me to a small but comfortable room, basically a hotel room with reinforced windows and a panic button by the bed. Get some rest, Morrison said. Someone will be outside your door all night. You're safe now. But I couldn't rest. I sat on the bed, my mind racing. My father had been a spy. A hero, apparently. And it had gotten him killed. Now people wanted me dead too, just for being his daughter. I pulled out my phone, they'd let me keep it, and called my mom. She answered on the first ring. Sarah? Thank God. The FBI is here. They told me, I know, Mom. I know about Dad. Silence. Then, quietly, I wanted to tell you. So many times. But they said it was safer if you didn't know. If you just believed the car accident story. He was a hero, I said, tears streaming down my face. He was, she whispered. He saved thousands of lives. And he loved you more than anything. We talked for an hour. She told me stories I'd never heard, about my father's real work, the danger he faced, the sacrifices he made. By the time we hung up, I felt like I'd met him for the first time. I eventually fell asleep in my clothes, emotionally exhausted. The next morning, Morrison brought me breakfast and news. We raided Kozlov's known associates at dawn, she said. Found evidence of the plot against you, communications, the payment to threaten Jennifer Marquez, everything. We also recovered the tampered water bottle from your seat. It was laced with a synthetic toxin. You would have died within hours, and it would have looked like natural causes. Heart attack, probably. I set down my coffee, suddenly nauseous. Kozlov's in custody, Morrison continued. So are 6 of his operatives, including the man in the blue jacket who tried to grab you at the airport. The gate agent was a hired contractor, she's talking in exchange for a reduced sentence. And Jennifer? Morrison smiled. She's being called a hero. The airline is reviewing security protocols because of her actions. She and her daughter are entering protective services until we re-certain all of Kozlov's network is rounded up. I want to thank her, I said. That can be arranged. They brought Jennifer to the federal building that afternoon. She looked exhausted, but when she saw me, she burst into tears. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I almost did it. I almost killed you. I hugged her. But you didn't. You saved me. You risked everything to warn me. They threatened my daughter, she whispered. I didn't know what else to do. You did the right thing, Morrison said firmly. You saved Sarah's life, and your testimony is helping us dismantle what's left of Kozlov's organization. You're a hero. Jennifer wiped her eyes. I just keep thinking about what would have happened if I'd gone through with it. If I'd let fear win. But you didn't, I said. You trusted your instinct. You chose to be brave. We talked for a while longer, sharing our sides of the story. Jennifer told me about the men who'd approached her, the photos of her daughter, the package they'd left with the poisoned water bottle and instructions. I told her about my father, about finally understanding why I'd been targeted. Before she left, she took my hands. Your father would be proud of you. You trusted your instincts when it mattered. You survived. Over the next few weeks, the FBI dismantled the remainder of Kozlov's network. 17 arrests across 4 states. They found evidence of at least 3 other planned attacks against families of the operatives who'd taken down Kozlov's organization in the 90s. My father's sacrifice had saved thousands of lives back then. And Jennifer's courage had saved mine now. The pharmaceutical company I worked for was surprisingly understanding about my extended personal emergency. When I finally returned to work 3 weeks later, I found flowers on my desk and a card signed by the entire department. My boss pulled me aside. Take all the time you need, she said. What you went through. I can't even imagine. But I was ready to work. Ready to return to normal. Or as normal as life could be after discovering your father was a spy and someone tried to poison you on a flight. The FBI offered me witness protection, but I declined. Kozlov and his network were dismantled. The threat was over. I wanted my life back. Morrison gave me her card. Call if you ever need anything. And Sarah? You did good. You trusted your instincts when it mattered most. A lot of people wouldn't have listened to that napkin warning. I almost didn't, I admitted. But you did. That's what counts. 3 months later, I received a letter. It was from Jennifer. Dear Sarah, I wanted to write and tell you that my daughter and I are safe and settling into our new life. The FBI helped us relocate, and I'm starting a new job next month, ironically, with TSA. Agent Rodriguez recommended me. I think about that flight every day. I think about the choice I made, to warn you instead of staying silent. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the most important. You taught me something, that in our darkest moments, we're stronger than we think. That small choices can save lives. That listening to that voice inside that says, something's wrong, can make all the difference. Thank you for forgiving me. Thank you for understanding. And thank you for trusting me when I handed you that napkin. Your father would be proud of the woman you've become. With gratitude and friendship, Jennifer. I kept that letter on my refrigerator. On hard days, when my spreadsheets felt meaningless and my cubicle felt small, I'd read it and remember, I was the daughter of a hero. I'd survived an assassination attempt. I was stronger than I thought. My mom and I grew closer too. She shared more stories about my father, not just his work, but who he was. His terrible jokes. His love of old movies. The way he used to dance with me in the kitchen. He always said, my mom told me one night over dinner that the most important thing in life was to trust your instincts. He said that's what kept him alive in dangerous situations, that inner voice that says something's wrong. I heard that voice, I said quietly. When Jennifer gave me the napkin, something told me to listen. That was your father's gift to you, she said, tears in her eyes. He taught you to listen. 6 months after the flight, the FBI closed the case. Kozlov was sentenced to life without parole for conspiracy to commit murder and terrorism charges. His associates received sentences ranging from 15 to 30 years. Agent Morrison called to give me the news. It's over, she said. You can finally breathe. And I did. I still work as a data analyst. I still live in Seattle. My life returned to its quiet, ordinary rhythm. But I'm different now. I pay attention to my instincts. When something feels wrong, I listen. I don't dismiss that inner voice anymore. I also started volunteering with an organization that supports families of federal agents and covert operatives. My father's legacy isn't just about the lives he saved in the 90s, it's about teaching me to be brave when it matters. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd ignored Jennifer's warning. If I'd drunk that water. If fear or embarrassment or social pressure had made me dismiss her message. I wouldn't be here. It's that simple. Instead, I'm living my life, boring spreadsheets, expired yogurt, and all, because a flight attendant chose courage over fear, and I chose to trust my instincts. Last week, I took a flight for the first time since that day in March. I was nervous, I won't lie. But as I boarded, the flight attendant at the door smiled warmly. Welcome aboard, she said. Thank you, I replied. And I meant it. I was thankful, for Jennifer's warning, for my father's legacy, for the instinct that told me to listen when it mattered most. We all face moments when we have to choose between what's easy and what's right, between ignoring our instincts and trusting them. That napkin message taught me something I'll never forget. When someone warns you of danger, listen. When your instincts say something's wrong, trust them. And when you have the choice between fear and courage, choose courage even when your hands are shaking. My father spent his life protecting people he'd never meet. Jennifer risked everything to save a stranger. And I learned that ordinary people, analysts, flight attendants, daughters of heroes, can be braver than they ever imagined. The lesson isn't just about trusting your instincts, though that's crucial. It's about understanding that small choices ripple outward. Jennifer's choice to hand me that napkin saved my life. My choice to listen saved me. And together, our choices helped dismantle a terrorist network and protect countless others. You're stronger than you think. Danger can hide in the most normal moments. And sometimes, the difference between life and death is as simple as a handwritten warning on a napkin. If this story moved you, subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And remember, trust your instincts. They might just save your life.